Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Nā mai, haere mai, ki tēnei hui. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this gathering. I'm Ralph Norris, your chairman, and on behalf of the board, I welcome you to Contact's 18th Annual General Meeting of Shareholders, which we're delighted to be hosting here today in Auckland. As we did last year, the meeting is being webcast, and I extend a warm welcome to those shareholders who are watching proceedings online. Before we start the formal business of the meeting, I'd like to remind people to turn off their mobile phones so our discussions can be uninterrupted. In the unlikely event of an emergency, a fire alarm will sound continuously. Please leave the venue immediately by the nearest exit. Assembly is in front of the Ellerslie stand on the Fashions lawn, which has the fountain in the middle of it, in front of this building. As a quorum is present and due notice of this meeting has been given, I declare the meeting duly constituted and open for business. I'd like to introduce the others with me here today on the stage. To my immediate left is Dennis Barnes, our Chief Executive Officer. Sitting next to Dennis is Sue Sheldon. Next to Sue is Victoria Crone, and beside her is Whaimutu Jews. Then on my immediate right is our General Counsel, Catherine Thompson. Next to Catherine is Eleanor Trout, and next to Eleanor is Rob McDonald. Today's meeting will commence with addresses from me as Chairman and from our Chief Executive, Dennis Barnes. Following this, we will consider the financial statements, and there will be an opportunity for shareholders to ask questions they may have on the financial statements. Then we will move on to the resolutions that are outlined in the notice of meeting. The resolutions will be decided by poll, and any questions from the floor will be dealt with before they are voted on. The directors standing for election and re-election will also speak briefly before the relevant votes are conducted. After dealing with the resolutions in the notice of meeting, there will be a final opportunity to raise any additional matters that shareholders wish to discuss. At the conclusion of the formal business, we will provide light refreshments. Please feel free during this time to talk with my fellow directors and the members of Contact's senior management. We will all be wearing name badges and very much look forward to the opportunity to chat with you after this meeting. Well, welcome again to the Contact 2016 AGM. It's my pleasure to see you here today at what is my first AGM as your chairman and the 1-year anniversary of my joining the Contact board. Looking at the 2016 financial year, it has been a busy and enjoyable first year, and I believe that as a board and management team, we have worked well together to improve many aspects of Contact's performance as an independent company. Before I go any further, let me first cover the financial and operational performance of Contact over the past year. Contact reported a statutory loss for the year ended 30th of June 2016 of $66 million, $199 million lower than the prior year. This was primarily due to the $204 million of impairments, net of tax, relating to the closure of the Otahu Power Station, an assessment that the Tahike geothermal resource is unlikely to be developed in the foreseeable future, and a write-down of the gas held in our gas storage facility. These impairments were non-cash in nature. Underlying profit and EBITDAF were broadly in line with last year, while our free cash flow improved 17% to $403 million. These results came in an operating environment that remains highly competitive and is evidence of the actions that have focused the business on cash generation and efficiency following a period of significant capital investment. The strong cash flow of the business provides choices for the board between distributions to shareholders, paying down debt, or reinvesting capital in maintaining and growing the business. We understand that investors are looking at Contact as a company with a strong dividend yield, and so we continue to have a dividend policy that focuses on returning cash to shareholders in the most tax-efficient way. In the past 2 years, Contact has returned $847 million to its shareholders through a stable ordinary dividend of 26 cents per share, a 50 cents per share special dividend, and a $100 million share buyback at an average price of $4.83 per share. All up, this equates to approximately $1.16 per share. Contact is committed to maintaining an investment-grade credit rating and has held a BBB rating since 2002. Following the payment of the special dividend last year, our debt levels increased, and it's pleasing that we have started the process of reducing the gearing ratio with a $71 million debt reduction in FY16. We expect to have a bias over the next 12 to 18 months to paying down debt, although we will continue to evaluate this as business risks and forecasts change. Looking at the board, Contact is operating in a dynamic market where the pace of change is rapid as customers value choice, certainty and control in an increasingly digital way. In this environment, it is important directors possess the full range of skills required to govern the business. The exit of Origin last year provided the opportunity to rigorously reassess and refresh the skills and experience required not only today, but also under future scenarios. The appointment of Eleanor Trout today will mean we have a board with 6 independent New Zealand-based directors. We now have a full set of directors who collectively meet all of the skills identified in the capability matrix we established over a year ago to support the appointment process. Our collective skills and experience will support Contact as it continues the transformation to a customer-centred business. We know a diverse workforce creates diversity of thought, helping us to innovate, solve problems, and collaborate to make better business decisions. We're very pleased that our recruitment process has delivered the calibre and diversity of directors on the board. It is something to be proud of that Contact has been ranked number 6 out of 4,255 publicly traded companies in the global Thomson's Reuters Diversity and Inclusion Index, making it one of the most diverse and inclusive workplaces globally. Employee engagement. As I have outlined, we have a business that generates a strong cash flow, and we have a diverse and experienced board. But ultimately, I'm a very firm believer that that much of Contact's success will come from the engagement of our employees. I don't know too many companies that have been successful without having the full engagement of their employees. Each year we conduct an independent survey to assess our progress on employee engagement and to identify areas for development. Our overall engagement score for 2016 was 56%, an increase of 12 percentage points on last year's score. Even with this improvement, we're not satisfied. 56 is not a great score, and we understand that. And with this level of engagement, it will be one of the key areas that will drive us as a board in the next year. Looking at customer experience, we're driving the transformation to a customer-centred business, and with a lot of focus and hard work, we're starting to see some improvement in our customer experience. It's pleasing to see initial signs that the investment in customer systems and capability are coming together in products and services our customers like, and our employees are excited about selling. We're seeing the benefits of removing complexity, errors, rework that add cost and frustrate customers. Combining these improvements with a focus on getting it right first time, delivered for our customers, and is evidenced with the gains of more than 4,000 electricity and gas customers since January 2016. And it's been a long time since we've seen our customer numbers increasing. We believe we have a tremendous opportunity to further improve how we deliver an effortless customer experience. As we do this, we need an infrastructure that has the ability to not only run our business today, but enable success going forward. For almost a decade, we've been investing in the foundations of what makes great service possible. from long life, renewable and flexible generation assets to best-in-class systems, and of course our people. I expect that over the next couple of years, we will see the full benefits of these investments. Fundamental to our future success will be our ability to first maintain and then grow market share in a profitable and sustainable way. We recognise that this can only be achieved by delivering superior customer value propositions and by providing complete, seamless, end-to-end solutions to achieve a differentiated customer experience. This is easy to say, but will require a company-wide effort to achieve. Turning to strategy. In the past year, we've seen the management team and their people embrace their new independent world. Contact has an open ownership structure and refreshed board, which provides us with opportunities to grow and create value for our shareholders. The New Zealand electricity market is mature, with no material growth in electricity demand and continued high levels of retail competition. Our strategy remains centred on leveraging the integrated customer and generation businesses to deliver strong cash flows and to provide our customers with choice, certainty and control. Over time, we see the consolidation in the New Zealand retail market as a logical step, and I believe we are well positioned to participate in that. But first, we need to prove we are a great retailer. Our investment in core systems and capability is providing us opportunities to increase our digital connection to customers, improve our insights through analytics, and presents a potentially attractive offering for partners in home services and new technologies. Investments in our generation portfolio have ensured a robust business, and we have a low-cost, long-life and flexible generation portfolio with a focus on safety, reliability and resource utilisation. We have exceptional and unique skills in this business that we've been leveraging for over 50 years, and we continue to use these capabilities to add value for shareholders. We will continue to operate your business well and look for growth opportunities while maintaining capital discipline in our balance sheet, with the ultimate goal of providing sustainable returns for you, our shareholders. In concluding, I'd like to thank my colleagues on the board, your directors, for their contribution during the year. We also thank Dennis and all the team at Contact for their ongoing efforts on your behalf. I would also like to thank you, our shareholders, for your continued support of the company. I now invite our Chief Executive, Dennis Barnes, to address you on the recent performance of the business and the outlook. Over to you, Dennis.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ki ngā iwi o Tamaki Makarau, anei te mihi. Ki a tātou katoa, kua hui mai nei, no mai, haere mai, ki runga, i te kaupapa te hui a tau. No mai, a tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings to the tribes of Auckland. I acknowledge you. To all of us who have gathered here today, welcome to what has brought us together, the AGM. Welcome and greetings. I'm Dennis Barnes, your CEO, and I'd like to join Sir Ralph in welcoming you here to Auckland. Our purpose is to help New Zealanders live more comfortably with energy. I'm proud to be part of a company that is living our purpose every day and building a shared culture that is aligned to our tikanga. Our tikanga is our compass and provides guidance on our principles, commitments and behaviours. The last year has been significant as we smoothly managed the transition to a refreshed board who are supporting our transformation to a customer-inspired business. At the same time, we have maintained the safety of our operations, improved employee engagement, continued to return cash to shareholders and reduced debt. It has been a year that I would summarise as many small steps that have strengthened our business. At the end of the meeting, I hope you will be able to spend some time with me and my leadership team. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the company and its direction and answer any questions you may have. Graham, Catherine, Venna and Annika are here today, but unfortunately James and Tanya are not able to make it. Both of them are away supplementing their education, an important activity to ensure that we have current and best practice thinking being applied to your company. Mark Corbett, our General Manager of Communication and Technology, will be leaving Contact in December. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the work he has done in simplifying our systems and separating all of our IT infrastructure from Origin. I believe Contact is leading the pack in our capability to compete in the digital world we are now operating in. We've looked at how our activities impact and influence New Zealand, and we've identified 7 themes that we believe tackle the key issues. I would now like to talk through how we are helping New Zealanders live more comfortably with energy by tracking our performance for the year against these 7 themes, as laid out in the annual report. We are focused on providing financial returns that reward investors and ensure our long-term sustainability. It's therefore fitting that our first material theme is making every dollar count. Our earnings before interest, tax, depreciation for financial year 16 was $523 million, $2 million lower than the previous year. Our energy procurement costs improved by $57 million, primarily due to lower gas costs and an increase in geothermal generation. This was offset by lower electricity sales as some lower price contracts were not renewed, and on average we had less mass market customers than the year before. This was compounded by a continuation of discounting to maintain market share while we launched new products and improved our customer experience. In this context, it's pleasing to see tangible signs that the investment in customer systems and capability are starting to deliver operational efficiencies, greater flexibility and increased digital interaction that is essential to reducing our operating costs and developing products that our customers want. In the 2016 financial year, we reduced our operating costs by $16 million, and I'm expecting a further reduction in the current year. A disciplined approach to capital expenditure means we are set up to generate strong cash flow, and in financial year 16, free cash flow increased 17% to $403 million. In line with our second material theme, being inspired by our customers, we are developing a customer experience that offers customers increasing choice, certainty and control. We have done this by listening to our customers and delivering what they want. We have improved how we operate, and we have organised our business for a digital future. There have been many examples of the progress we have made, but there are a few I would like to point out today. Our measure of customer advocacy is Net Promoter Score. This is used extensively globally and measures how likely a customer is to promote Contact in a positive light to others. Customers giving you a 9 or 10 out of 10 are considered promoters and are offset by detractors, or customers who give a score between 0 and 6. So a pretty high bar. And our Net Promoter Score has been increasing and currently sits at 8. Over the past year, we've launched more than 10 exciting new products that provide individual customers flexibility and options they personally value. One example was our Home and Batch product that was to resolve a common customer pain point around paying for fixed daily charges when their batch isn't being used. We've made real progress addressing the issue of customer debt. We've significantly improved our debt management processes. A reduction in late bills and vacant properties has led to a 35% reduction in the total amount owed due to non-payment of bills, the lowest in the past 7 years. and a 3 million reduction in the amount of customer debt written off in financial year 16. We've also made it easier for our customers to interact with us via digital channels. We've launched 2 mobile apps, and we're improving what we offer via our website. We now have over 267,000 customers on e-billing and online payment options. Ultimately, the value of these improvements is judged by our customers, so it's very pleasing to have gained more than 4,000 customers since January and to see our customer switching rates fall. I'm very encouraged by the progress we are making in our customer business, and in time I believe our large customer base and systems investment will provide an attractive opportunity for partners to join us in providing value for our customers beyond energy. Part of our transformation to being customer-inspired has seen us taking an increasing role in customer advocacy. The uptake of new technologies in New Zealand remains in the early stages. Electric vehicles, batteries and solar, amongst other technologies, will provide our customers with opportunities to change how they buy and use electricity. We were a key supporter in the establishment of the Electricity Retailers Association, which has a purpose of delivering value to customers and supporting an open, competitive and effective electricity market. More recently, we have been strongly advocating on behalf of customers to promote a level playing field for all sector participants where competitive markets rather than regulation drive value for customers. We believe we are making progress in ensuring that our customers can obtain the maximum benefit from these new technologies. As the competitive landscape becomes clearer with these new technologies, we are increasing our understanding through a range of battery and solar trials, and I believe these will form part of our product set in the near future. Our customers deserve a competitive, reliable supply of energy, and they expect it to be responsibly delivered. This is the essence of our third material theme. With 82% of our generation coming from renewable resources in financial year 16, including a record geothermal output, we are clearly focused on optimising the value of our renewable assets. That said, our thermal generation and gas storage facility remain critical in ensuring the lights stay on when renewable fuel sources are not available. In the past year, we've made key decisions that maintain shareholder value, including the closure and sale of the Otahuhu power station and supporting the electricity supply agreement with the Tiwai aluminium smelter. The closure of the Otahuhu power station was a positive step for Contact and the market as we reduced costs and improved the balance of the country's capacity, and with the benefit of hindsight, absolutely the right decision. Although becoming increasingly manageable with an improved understanding of the possible transmission upgrades, we have recognised that the future of the Tiwai aluminium smelter remains a risk to the industry. We are very conscious of the smelter's potential closure and therefore will not make any commitments to fuel or maintenance that would increase our exposure if it were to close. The Electricity Authority's transmission pricing methodology review that looks at how approximately $900 million of electricity transmission charges are allocated has continued throughout the year. The current proposal planned for implementation in 2019 is neutral to slightly positive for Contact and is supported by Contact and many in the industry. Health and safety remains a priority at Contact and is our fourth material theme. For the past 3 years, we have been working to change our safety culture from the enforcement of rules and complicated procedures to one where our people are empowered and we are constantly learning and improving. While it is disappointing our total recordable injury frequency rate increased in 2016, the severity of our incidents continues to decline. The leadership position we are taking on safety has been widely recognised, with Contact winning the top award for safety at the annual Deloitte Energy Excellence Awards in August. Keeping our generation assets and LPG business safe and reliable is critical to their ongoing operations. So we constantly look at ways to make our processes and systems as robust as possible. Over the year, we've made significant progress in embedding systems that provide real-time visibility of our process safety barriers. This is a positive step to ensure we have the right controls in place to protect our people, our assets, and our environment. We are powered by our people. As Sir Ralph mentioned, the new independent Contact has resulted in a stronger sense of ownership and increased engagement amongst our employees. The energy, commitment, and discipline of our people at Contact is something to be proud of, and I can unreservedly say is our greatest asset. We rely on a team of approximately 1,000 people to keep our business running, so it was important to me that employee engagement improved by 12 percentage points in financial year 16. However, this is a long way from being great, and we are now refreshing and making consistent all of our touch points with our people and developing engagement plans for all levels of the business. We continue to recognise the value of diversity, training, development, and engagement to our people as part of creating a positive and supportive workplace. The nature of our business means our operations can sometimes impact on the environment and the people who live within it. So we continue to work hard to be a good neighbour. Our sixth theme drives us to be positively part of our neighbourhoods. In 2016, we were the proud recipient of a Good Business Egg Award for community empowerment. This is recognition for our increasing focus on the issues that are important to our customers and community, and has seen us reorient our community investments towards social and environmental issues. We've developed some great partnerships with organisations such as Swimwell Topo, Green in Topo, and relationships with iwi such as Ngāti Tahu. We sponsor local events such as the Alexandra Blossom Festival and the Contact Epic Bike Race. And in the last year, we've provided opportunities for school leavers to join our Contact team in Levin. We've also provided support for the Te Pui Memorial Marae Manaka Tangata programme. We also believe it's important for our employees to be involved in their communities, and we support this by allowing our people to gift paid time each year to a cause of their choice. As I've mentioned, we use our tikanga to provide guidance for positioning on key issues that our stakeholders care about and which impact our business. This is the foundation for our final material theme, caring for our ecosystems. There has been an increased focus on the issue of climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, both internationally and within New Zealand. Contact's investment into renewable energy and flexible thermal assets has allowed us to reduce our gas purchases and carbon emissions, resulting in a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions for generating electricity over the last 5 years. The other area important to our stakeholders is water quality, access and biodiversity. Water is a precious resource we all share and need to maintain it for current and future generations. The growing range of competing demands on water means everyone needs to do their bit to look after this shared resource. We've now developed a positioning statement on water that we believe supports our near-term profitability and longer-term sustainability. And finally, on this material theme, in the coming year, we will do more to understand the complex issue of energy access for all, which includes the drivers of energy affordability, socio-economic disparity, and energy efficiency of available housing. So in summary, we will continue our strategy to connect customers and markets to renewable resources. The start of the financial year has been positive, with great production and availability from our renewable generation and newly launched products exciting our customers. For the coming year, I expect we will be able to evidence further progress across all 7 material themes. We will continue giving customers choice, certainty and control, at the same time reducing our costs as we focus on digital transformation by leveraging our systems and capability investments. We are in a unique position in our sector with an open share register and no majority shareholder. And while our focus remains on improving the performance of the core business, I look forward to working with the board and my team to identify opportunities that create value for you, our supportive shareholders. I'd like to thank all of my colleagues for their energy, commitment and discipline, and to you, our shareholders, for your financial support. I'd also like to thank the board members for their contribution. The guidance and support they provide me remains invaluable. Thank you. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Thank you, Dennis. We now move to a discussion of Contact's financial statements. The financial statements of Contact for the year ended 30th of June 2016 were released to the market on the 16th of August 2016 and are set out in the annual report, which is available on our website. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now opening the floor up for discussion on the financial statements. There are 4 roving microphones. Shareholders who wish to speak, please hold up your voting paper, which was handed to you when you registered on arrival, and wait to be handed the microphone, and then introduce yourself, including whether you are a shareholder or a proxy holder, and state your question. I will rotate the speaking rights between the microphones. I'm conscious that a number of you may wish to speak. I do not want to restrict you, but as a matter of courtesy to others who may wish to speak, please keep your comments brief and to the point. It should be noted that only shareholders and validly appointed proxy holders and anyone invited to speak by me as chairman have a right to speak. Please state your name before addressing. I do also remind you that our meeting today is being webcast, so you'll also be heard by an audience outside of this room. I would also ask that questions you have relating to any of the formal resolutions be dealt with in conjunction with the discussion in relation to that resolution. There will be ample time for general discussion after the formal business has been dealt with. Consequently, I ask that you raise any of your questions of a general nature at that time. So, ladies and gentlemen, over to you. I'd be delighted to take any questions you might have on the financial statements. Okay, I don't seem to see any hands being raised. If there are no questions, we will move on to the formal resolutions for the meeting. These are outlined in the notice of meeting sent to all shareholders in September. I propose to call a poll on each of these resolutions. Each resolution will be put to the meeting with the proxy voting results displayed on the screens. The polls will be conducted at the end of the formal business of the meeting. Each resolution set out in the notice of meeting is to be considered as an ordinary resolution and as such must be approved by a simple majority of the votes cast by shareholders entitled to vote in voting on the resolution. Resolution 1. It is now my pleasure to move that Eleanor Trout be elected as a Director of Contact. Eleanor Trout was appointed to the board on the 3rd of October 2016 to fill a casual vacancy. Her credentials are outlined in the explanatory notes to the notice of meeting. The board unanimously recommends that shareholders vote in favour of the election of Eleanor Trout. I now extend to Eleanor the opportunity to speak about her election before we proceed to the discussion on the resolution. Eleanor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to you all. My name is Eleanor Trout, and it's my pleasure to be nominated a Director of Contact. The energy sector around the world is facing major disruptions. New proven technologies and the digital advancements are affecting the traditional business lines providing energy to customers. Traditional bans are being smashed and new ones are being created overnight. Customers are expecting energy businesses to have their needs at the heart of what they do and to make their lives better. Overlaying these changes is the need to recognise the expectation of communities of doing the right thing for the global environment, and this has been recently recognised by the New Zealand Government through the signing of the Paris Accord earlier in the year. Contact's portfolio and initiatives that are underway are well positioned to accept these challenges. I'm a professional civil engineer by training and have spent over 30 years working in the development and management of operating assets in the infrastructure, transport and energy sectors, a number of which have been of national significance. My engineering training and experience brings further rigour to the board to ensure the operation and management of all asset classes, together with any investments, are carefully considered. This will enable Contact to continue to be a trusted energy provider, as well as being recognised at world-class in what Contact does. I also bring to the board's table a significant understanding of the New Zealand energy environment as a result of previously being a governing board member for over 11 years of organisations that are directly related and associated with the energy sector. This, together with my current governing board positions, allows me to provide a wealth of knowledge on the impacts that will shape the energy sector for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor. I now invite discussion on the resolution. Are there any questions that shareholders would like to ask Eleanor? For the information of shareholders, here are the proxy votes received. The poll on the election of Eleanor Trout will be conducted at the end of the formal business. It is now my pleasure to move that Whaimutu Dews be re-elected as a Director of Contact. In July, each member of the board and the leadership team participated in a formal assessment of Whaimutu Dews. That assessment was reviewed by the Remuneration and Nominations Committee, which recommended his re-election. His credentials are outlined in the explanatory notes to the notice of meeting. The board unanimously recommends that shareholders vote in favour of the re-election of Whaimutu Dews. I now extend to Whai the opportunity to speak about his re-election before we proceed to discussion on the resolution. Whai.
Thank you, Sir Ralph. Kia ora koutou. So as you know, I'm Whaimutu Dews. It is my privilege to be nominated again as a director of your company. I just wanted to talk about two things, because you can read the profile in the papers you already have. One's change, the other one is continuity, and thirdly, consistency. So in the 10 years since I first joined Contact, we've seen changes both externally and internally. We've got increased regulator attention, we've got much more formal health and safety obligations, we've got much more active competition, and we have got much higher customer expectations. Internally, we've had a big change with our shareholder register and spent a lot of time planning and now executing, changing the internal capabilities of the company to meet these challenges and actually go further and become the energy company that you all want. And we continue to be the energy company that you all want, and the customers. The areas of customer aspiration and shareholder expectations, as well as primary resource exploitation development in a sustainable manner are three areas which I have a number of years' experience, and are three of those areas which I expect and hope to be able to support the board and the company in being able to meet those expectations, exceed the aspirations, and generate a more sustainable and profitable company. Nā reira, kia ora tātou.
Thank you, Whai. I now invite discussion on the resolution. Are there any questions that shareholders would like to ask Whai? For the information of shareholders, here are the proxy votes received. Ladies and gentlemen, the poll on the re-election of Whaimutu Jews will be concluded at the end of the formal business. It is now my pleasure to move that Sue Sheldon be re-elected as a Director of Contact. As I mentioned, in July, each member of the board and the leadership team participated in a formal assessment of Sue Sheldon. That assessment was reviewed by the Remuneration and Nominations Committee, which recommended her re-election. Her credentials are outlined in the explanatory notes to the notice of meeting. The board unanimously recommends that shareholders vote in favour of the re-election of Sue Sheldon. Sue.
Thank you, Sir Ralph, and good morning, shareholders and guests. I'm pleased to be here today to seek your support for my re-election as an independent director of your company. The chairman referred to the dynamic market we operate in and the resulting rapid rate of change. This, combined with the exit of our major shareholder, gives Contact a unique opportunity for refreshment. We have ensured a rigorous process to re-equip the board with the right skills to take advantage of this opportunity. Diversity and inclusion in Contact means fostering a culture where diversity of thought, style, experience and approach is valued and nurtured so that innovation can thrive. The business case is clear. In order to attract and retain top talent, this must be a top priority. Contact's recognition, as you heard earlier in the Thomson Reuters D&I Index, demonstrates our central values in action. As a professional company director, I note the determined approach the board has taken to decision-making, its focus on acting in shareholders' best interests in a difficult market environment. I also note the prudent steps that the board has taken to strengthen your company's financial position and prepare for the future. I believe in the importance of robust governance in any market and would welcome the opportunity to continue to serve you as an independent director on the board of Contact. As a chartered accountant and an experienced company director with both private and public sector experience, I believe that I have the skills to add value to your investment. I bring a deep understanding of business in New Zealand to the Contact board, long-standing involvement in this industry, as well as the thoroughness and attention to detail that you would expect from a chartered accountant. I have a strong appreciation of the operation of the New Zealand economy and a commitment to companies like Contact taking a leadership role in helping to deliver increased prosperity and economic growth. From my experience as a director on the Contact board, I see plenty of potential in your company and seek your support to making a contribution to seeing this potential realised. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I now invite discussion on the resolution. Are there any questions that shareholders would like to ask Sue Sheldon? For the information of shareholders, here are the proxy votes received. Ladies and gentlemen, the poll on the re-election of Sue Sheldon will be conducted at the end of the formal business. The final resolution to be considered relates to the auditor. I now move that the directors be authorised to fix the fees and expenses of the auditor. KPMG is Contact's auditor. The Companies Act sets out a procedure for the appointment of auditors which causes them to be automatically reappointed, except in certain limited circumstances which do not apply here. Accordingly, the auditor is automatically reappointed under Section 207T of the Companies Act 1993. This resolution proposes that the board be authorised to fix the remuneration of the auditor. This is the conventional practice for New Zealand listed companies. It reflects the fact that the level of the auditor workload and therefore fee may need to change from time to time to take account of changes in a company's size or complexity or changes to regulation or laws. KPMG audit partners are present at the meeting should shareholders have any questions of them concerning the resolution. I now invite discussion on the resolution. For the information of shareholders, here are the proxy votes received. Ladies and gentlemen, the poll on authorising the directors to fix the fees and expenses of the auditor will be conducted at the end of the formal business. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now conduct the polls on the resolutions described in the notice of meeting. Contact's auditor, KPMG, will act as scrutineer for the polls. You should all have a voting paper which was given to you when you registered on arrival. If you are both a shareholder and a proxy holder or shareholder corporate representative or have more than one holding, you would have received a separate voting paper for each holding. If you hold shares in joint names and both or more holders are here today, you would have received one voting paper only for your holding. If you are a shareholder and do not have a voting paper, please put up your hand and contact Share Registrar Link Market Services representatives will assist you. Please now cast your votes by ticking for, against or abstain in the appropriate box on the voting paper for each resolution. If you have any questions as to how to complete your form, please raise your hand and someone will assist you. Ladies and gentlemen, your voting papers will now be collected by Link representatives. Please place your voting paper in the ballot boxes as they are passed around. Has everybody had the opportunity to place their votes in the ballot boxes? Thank you. The votes will now be counted and the outcome of the polls will be announced to the NZX and the ASX this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the final opportunity to discuss any other business not already considered at this meeting, and advise that no shareholder proposals were received by Contact. I'd now like to give shareholders present today the opportunity to ask questions. I suggest that if you do have a personal customer matter to discuss, that you speak with one of our customer service representatives at the customer support desk in the foyer after the conclusion of the meeting. Brooke will be happy to assist you with your question. So we now open for questions. Over here on the right.
Thank you. Michael Schroff, shareholder. I've got a question. Could you tell us a bit more about the closure of the Otahu plant? I think you referred to the fact that it was economically the right thing to do, and yeah.
I mean, the Otahu plant was an older style plant from the point of view of the fact that it's not technically a renewable plant, renewable energy, and looking at our fleet of generation going forward, we're obviously endeavouring to make sure that we have a high level of renewable generating capacity, with obviously a focus on hydro and geothermal. And the Otahu plant was a high cost plant, and a plant that was really surplus to our requirements. And with obviously the commissioning of Te Mihi some 24 months ago, and the move down the renewable route, the plant became surplus to requirements. Question over here.
Gosh, that's loud. I'm Justine. I'm a customer and a shareholder. Just two questions. I did come in late, and you may have covered them. I think that the prompt payment discount is a pretty generous amount. Could you tell me how much that is compared to other electricity companies? And the second question is, and you may have already covered this as well, how does Contact help those people who are in dire poverty that we hear about so much these days? It might take a lot of time, but just...
Thank you for those questions, Justine.
Thank you.
What I'll do is I'll pass over to Dennis, but certainly the issue around discounts is one where the market is obviously very competitive, and Dennis will obviously elaborate a little bit on that, and also talk about our hardship programs, etc. So, Dennis.
So as Sir Ralph mentioned, the discount level is really set by competitive forces. The questions are actually connected in that one of the first things we do for our customers, whether they're in hardship or not, is to ensure that we have competitive products. The prompt payment discounts, like I say, are set by the market, and they average across Contact sales about 18%. So on to the question of customers in hardship. I mean, the first thing we do is, as I've said, offer competitive products. Products that offer very generous payment conditions. So we work with our customers a lot, particularly around a product called Smooth Pay, which brings in a predictable way for families to budget for their electricity costs. We're very conscious of customers who we classify as vulnerable or medically dependent, and we have special processes such that those customers continue to get power. And then the last thing is we have very close connections with work and income to make sure that our customers are connected to the right society resources when they get into hardship. I mean, not directly related to customers, but we also do invest in local community initiatives around energy education and budgeting and helping our customers manage the unfortunate hardships they may be in.
Thank you, Dennis. Further questions? One down here in the middle. Thank you. The microphone's coming, sir.
So Ralph, I would like to ask the question, will Contact be looking for a merger with Contact Energy? They seem to have, they could fit in together.
You mentioned Contact Energy merging with whom?
Trustpower.
As far as Contact is concerned, we are not in any discussions or whatever in regard to any such initiative, and certainly, those situations, if and when they would take place, any acquisition or merger would obviously be subject to pretty intensive board interrogation as to the value and whether or not it is in the best interests of the shareholders of Contact Energy.
Okay. The second question is, will Contact have to pay compensation for not proceeding with the geothermal development as Tākei and Taupo?
Dennis?
The Tahiki development was in a joint venture with a Tahiki 8C Trust, and there was a governing contract which we have settled as part of the abandonment of the project. So there's no further costs that would be material for shareholders.
And those costs were recognised, obviously, in the past financial year.
Thank you very much. And the third, will the retailers who have no generation capacity still be able to force the price of electricity down? I know this is an awkward question. By playing the derivatives market. We've had wet years, and I know sooner or later we're going to run into a run of dry years. If you look at the graphs over the years, this is quite apparent. But they sort of are riding on the people that are generating electricity, in my view, and they certainly can force the price of electricity down all over the world until, like they did in America, get caught. Thank you.
I think it's a situation, as you highlight, that we have swings and roundabouts, that there will be times when markets have a surplus of supply with obviously high hydrology, and situations where obviously through drought, because of the high reliance on hydro, that you see a reduction, which does cause obviously significant variation in price. I think it's fair to say that of the smaller operators, they are at the margin, and obviously do have some impact on price. But the vast volume of the market is really determined by the larger players in the market who have virtually 90% of the plus of the generating the retail marketplace. But I hear what you're saying, but certainly a number of them, they're facing challenging times, as the whole industry is. So, being a new generator in this market is not, or new retailer, has not been a license to print money. That's for sure. When you look at their results.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Over here in the middle. Oh, sorry. This gentleman over here on the left was.
Paul Forder, proxy. I have two questions. First relates to the Net Promoter Score. Just want to know what the board and the management view on the Net Promoter Score, given in my view it is illogical and flawed.
Well, certainly.
The formula that I referred to.
Okay, Net Promoter Score, as you're well aware, given obviously your experience around NPS, is a score or a customer grading system from the point of view of grading the performance of the industry that the customer is a customer of, is a good system that is used by many industries and many companies worldwide. I have been involved with it in the banking industry, and I've seen the value that it has driven in the fact that customer satisfaction is certainly a significant precursor to financial success for organisations. If you have customers that are promoters of the organisation, then they are likely to be long-term customers of the organisation, and they're also likely to be customers that do more business with the organisation. And so I think that Net Promoter Score is a valuable tool. It's not a single tool by itself, but it's part of a group of tools to improve the quality and focus of an organisation on its customers. So I see NPS as being a valuable tool.
The second question was, what is the likelihood of future share buybacks?
I think at this stage our concentration is very much on reduction of debt, and certainly the share buyback that took place some months ago was driven by the fact that we obviously have an issue around imputation credits, and the best way to actually give shareholders a return was to undertake a share buyback. But at this point, the board has no plans for any further share buybacks. Thank you. Sir.
Gordon Wallace. Really, I just wanted to ask, you had up there about increased employment by 12%, is that right? Was that one of the figures that went up there?
No, that was the engagement score. That was not employment.
Okay.
So that's,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. There's two gentlemen over here.
Good morning, Peter Moosberger, shareholder. Can you elaborate a bit more on this employment engagement business going up from, 44% up to 56%? What on earth does all that mean?
Well, basically, the company undertakes employee surveys on an annual basis where a range of questions are asked of our employees as to how they regard the business, how they regard their treatment within the organisation, how they relate to a whole range of factors which are related to their employment effectively inside the organisation. And so that gives a good understanding of how people feel about the organisation that they work for. Now, this is a very common practice. In fact, all significant companies would run these sorts of surveys, and certainly in my time in the banking industry, the airline industry, all of those organisations used culture surveys. I'm also involved with Fletcher Building, which also uses these culture surveys, and they're very instructive for the board and management to understand the issues going on inside the company. And certainly I've found that if you don't have a workforce in an organisation that is engaged, then they're not likely to go the extra mile to do things. So the higher you can drive your engagement score, the higher you get what I call discretionary effort. That is, that people will actually give a bit more than they would normally do because they identify well with the company, they identify with the leadership of the company, they like their direct boss, and they like coming to work. If you have people that are disengaged, they come to work primarily to get a paycheck, and often they will try and make sure that they find reasons not to come to work. So you get higher levels of absenteeism and also less effective output from people. So it's very, very important that an organisation understands how its people feel about the organisation, how they feel about its management, how they feel about the direction of the company, and that's what effectively an engagement survey is all about. Sir, behind you.
The name is White from Century Investments Group. I have a question of Mr. Barnes. Would you like to comment on the current hydrology levels in the South Island and what contingency plans you have if it's necessary this year?
Dennis.
So the hydrology levels in the South Island are just above average in total. Contact's hydrology is primarily run of river, So our production relies on run-of-river rather than storage. That has been below average for the last couple of weeks, although this week has seen that turn around a little bit. And if you saw the press this morning, there's a whole heap of snow down south, which in due course turns into electricity. But what we do in Contact is make sure that we run scenarios around future hydrology, because we can't control the weather. And the way we protect ourselves physically is by having a gas storage facility in Taranaki, and that gas storage facility currently contains at least a couple of winters of hydro production equivalent. So you can be confident that through various hydrology sequences, our earnings are bounded. They will move, you know, if it's wet they go up and if it's dry they go down, but it is quite a narrow band given the action we've taken to protect ourselves.
Any further questions? Just down. It's a little dark looking down from up here. Sorry, is that the microphone working?
Martinovich, shareholder. Sir Ralph mentioned that 90% of the electricity retail is in the hands of the big players. Could someone give us an idea of who those big players are, because presumably they are Contact's immediate competitors, and what percentage each of those big players have in the generation and customer market New Zealand-wide? Thank you.
Well, the major players are obviously ourselves, as you mentioned, Meridian, Mercury, Genesis, and Trustpower would make up the bulk of the market. As far as the relative market shares are concerned, they vary from between the mid to high teens to the low 20s. Be fair comment?
Yep.
Our share is 21%, I think.
Yeah, we're 25% of generation production and 21% of sales by customer numbers.
Do any of the others exceed that?
Meridian Energy are a bigger generator, something over 30%, and Genesis Energy are a bigger retailer at 25%. So we're second on both counts, but combined we would be the combined largest.
Just down here in the centre here. Could you put your hand up again with the microphone? Thank you. Here it is.
Colleen Bayer, shareholder. My question is, you referred to the gas you've got in the ground at New Plymouth. Does that cost you to keep it in there?
I'll pass over to Dennis to give you the exact details on that. The question is, does the gas in the underground storage cost us anything?
So of course when we buy the gas, we spend money with gas producers to procure the gas. And then the facility itself, which, as in line with the previous question, is really the risk management cost that we have of storing the gas. And that costs in the order of $5 to $6 million a year to operate the facility. But the bulk of the cost is in the procurement of the gas. And today we would have in the order of $70 million of gas stored underground.
Do we have any further questions? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as there's no further official business, I now declare the meeting closed, and we would be pleased if you will join us for light refreshments, which are being served on the left of the room. Thank you for your attendance and continuing interest in Contact. I wish you all a very safe journey home. Thank you.